Hey y'all, and welcome back to the full set review of the Universes Beyond Yu-Gi-Oh! Draft set. Today we will be talking about the red-black cards. Now I'm going to go over the grading system and everything here in a sec, but if you already know all that stuff and don't need to hear it again, feel free to skip to the time code on screen. We're going to go over every card in the set one by one, and we're going to talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that inspired each one of those, how we translated them into Magic the Gathering cards, and then we're going to discuss how good those cards are, and when should you pick them in a cube draft. At this point, we have all had a lot of experience with this cube, enough to tell you how and when you should play each of these cards. We're going to use a grading system that goes from A to F. This grading system is only meant to tell you how highly you should pick the cards while drafting. And the grades go as follows. A is a bomb that you should often first pick. It can either win the game on its own easily, or is a part of a powerful game plan that is worth getting into as fast as you can. B is a solid card that draws you into an archetype, or a deck type, or a card that can efficiently interact with your opponent. You should pick Bs very highly. Cs are the bread and butter of your deck. Once you have an idea of where you're going, finding the right C-level cards is an incredibly important part of creating a consistent deck that won't just lose to itself. Don't pick these cards super highly, but you do want to make sure you have the correct C-level cards for your deck. D, these are either cards that just don't perform as highly as you want them to, or cards that fit only in very specific deck types. Often these are kind of like C-level cards, but they only go into like one deck, or they're cards with just low overall impact. There is certainly a right time to pick these cards, but it isn't early and it isn't often. F is a grade that we only give to cards that you should pretty much never pick under any circumstances, and if we gave a card an F grade, it probably means we need to buff that card. So, if you're curious about the set and want to learn more, I have left a ton of resources in the description, including a visual spoiler website that's easy to navigate, a Google Drive with all the images so you can print the set yourself, and a link to our Discord server so you can join us when we draft the set. With all that in mind, I hope you all enjoy this series of deep dives into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe Beyond draft experience. Think of it like a podcast series, with each episode covering a different part of the set. We're going to go over all the two-color pairs first, then each monocolor group, and finally colorless cards. But first, a word from our sponsor, MythAtom.com. MythAtom is an online store focused on products designed around the media we love. From game accessories to jewelry and more, MythAtom uses creativity and understanding to recreate many of the most iconic elements of our favorite nerdy stuff. They sent me some really cool items that you should be able to see on screen right now. I got a really cool MTG Commander deck box with this amazing stained glass look on the green deck box. It's got a nice case and pocket for your commander to show off as well. Yes, my commander's Mathis the Friend Seeker. No, I will not answer any questions about the deck. MythAtom sells other cool deck boxes too, and sleeves and binders and playmats and tokens, I mean, you name it. All your classic gaming items and accessories. But what's even cooler than that is the other item they sent me. This metal Colossus hammer keychain. This thing is gorgeous and looks just like the one from the card art. I'm going to put that on screen right here. It's very sturdy and weighty, and it's just a really well-made piece. They have a ton of others like this too, whether they're keychains, rings, or necklaces. MythAtom has some of the coolest metalwork nerd relics I've ever seen in a shop like this. They also sent me some glamour shots of the Colossus hammer that we can all marvel at right now. Ooh. Ah. So anyway, if you want to get something neat from this store, they gave me a discount code that you can use at checkout. It's not good. All one word, at checkout, to get an extra 10% off your purchase. That's It's Not Good at checkout. Thanks MythAtom for sponsoring this video. Now back to it. Alright, let's do it. Red-black. Let's talk about what red-black is. Red-black is, just like blue-white, it's a dragon's archetype, but as we alluded to in the blue-white section, red-black is more about cheating and being less fair with your dragons, trying to get them into play early, combo, whether that's through reanimation, dropping them directly into play from your hand, getting the right card combinations to make that work and make that easier. Red-black is not fair. It is fast, cheaty, but you use a lot of resources to get yourself to that point, so it's very high risk, high reward with its dragons.
We had Blue Eyes White Dragon in Blue White, so of course we had Red Eyes Black Dragon in Red Black, and I just really enjoy that. I think that's awesome.
It's cool that it lined up that way. I really like that a lot too. Alrighty. Let's check out our first card, which is Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon. which is an 8-star Dark Machine Effect monster with 2800 attack and 2400 defense. It says it cannot be normal summoned or set and must first be special summoned from your deck by tributing a Red Eyes Black Dragon that is equipped with Metal Morph. Tell me about it.
Oh, jeez. This is one of the only cards, like one of the few cards that you can summon directly from your deck
Mm-hmm.
with, with a condition where you just go into your deck and you say, actually, I can do this now. And the funny thing about it is, like, if you know Metal Morph, it's like a trap that gives the creature a 300 attack and gives it the ability to gain half the attack thing that it's attacking. So the funny part about this card is that the monster you're tributing, a Red Eyes Black Dragon with Metal Morph equipped, is worse than the monster you're getting by summoning the Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon, because you lose the Metal Morph. You don't get the Metal Morph ability. You have a monster that has 100 more attack, but it loses the Metal Morph ability of just being able to hit over anything. And so you did all this effort for what? So your dragon has a cool new name now? So
That's so
this
funny,
was
dude.
yeah, it's never played, never
Oh,
played. But
Yukio.
funnily enough, like there's Black Metal Dragon, and then there's Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, um, which was and then they made like the most busted Red Eyes version ever, which is Red Eyes Black Metal Darkness Dragon. So like they really needed to like get this right. But yeah, this is one of them that was never used, but it stands alone as one of the few monsters that you can summon from your deck and that you'd never want to.
It's
Yeah.
so funny. All right, let's look at the Magic
Yeah.
version, which is 6 and 2 red black hybrids for an artifact creature dragon construct. It's an artifact creature. Don't notice that. Don't forget that. It is a 7/7 that says you may sacrifice a dragon you control with an aura attached to it rather than pay this spell's mana cost. It has flying and trample, and whenever this creature attacks, it deals 7 damage to target creature an opponent controls. Excess damage dealt this way is dealt to that creature's controller. So not only does it have trample, but its ability also technically has trample as well. The funny thing about this card, and the way I've often played this card, is yeah, you're not really casting it a lot. Like, you do cast it, but you're not playing it to do that. That's not why you pick it. It's actually just an extra dragon to pick for Dragon Matters synergies. It's also a big dragon that's great for reanimating. So if you need some extra dragons to cheat into play, it's a great dragon to be cheating into play. It's simple. It's not as crazy powerful as some of the other dragons can be to cheat into play, but it's certainly fine. It's certainly a good 7/7 flying trample that can kill a creature every time it attacks and hit your opponent for extra damage. It is one you'd be worth cheating into play. Now, that ability there is just an homage, essentially, to the original card. It's really not going to happen. You're not going to be doing the sacrifice a dragon with an aura attached to it to cast it for free. You're not really doing that pretty much ever. And unfortunately, I think this is one of the misses with this card is this. In Magic, there's not a real good way to do it the way that the original card works, where it summons from your deck like that. It's not a really good way to do that. And I didn't want to encourage players to not put this in their main deck because I don't think that's a good idea with the design of it. So unfortunately, its alternate cast ability, it doesn't actually match exactly with the original one very well. Even if you discount the fact that we changed it to a dragon rather than Red Eyes Black Dragon and an aura instead of specifically Metal Morph. So it's a little bit weird. But nevertheless, you can technically cast this for free if you have a dragon, Red Eyes Black specifically, with Metal Morph on it, because Metal Morph is an aura. So there's that. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, I don't mind that this doesn't go from your library onto the field. It's weird that it was that way in the original anyway. And
Yeah.
the funniest part is if you draw the original Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon, you cannot play it because it can only be summoned from the deck.
Oh, it's so
Um,
weird.
so it's even better than I remembered. But the effect, I think it's just 1,000 times better by virtue of the fact that it has an ability. It
Yeah.
actually does something. Its ability is not that it has to be summoned this way and then it stops. It actually kills things and hurts and stuff. So The one thing I am sad about is that it doesn't let you do that with like an equipment. Like you sacrifice the equipment and the dragon. You
Hmm.
know, um, that would have been weird to word. I know, but
It
it's a
would have
metal
been.
dragon, and it's
Oh, I don't know.
you know.
Maybe. Hold on. I'm gonna write that down. I actually don't hate that because there's a lot more equipment in this set because of the mana rocks than auras.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, I mean,
hold on.
I meant like that you can still have that aura thing, but also have it be that you can, summon it by
Yes,
sacrificing an equipment and a dragon.
I agree.
Um, yeah. So you could turn it from that cute little homage of Metal Morph into a summoning condition that is actually pretty strong, and this creature is a menace because yeah,
Yeah,
it kills anything on attack. So
yeah.
let's see if I just broke this card.
Yeah, we'll see. I actually really like the card in general, though. When I've played it, I haven't felt bad picking it. It fills in a niche. Yeah, it's 8 mana, but you're not really casting it for 8 mana. Yeah, you can later in the game if you somehow have that much mana, but what you're doing is you're beholding it, right? You're beholding a dragon with your cards that care about that. You are discarding it and then cheating it back into play with reanimation, or you're putting it directly into play with like Horn of the Dragon or whatever it's called of summoning dragon, right? You're doing some of these things to get it into play easily, and it's filling out that part of
It's
your
the
deck.
flute. Thank
The
you.
flute, yes, sorry, my bad, the flute. When you need a big dragon, it's an easy one to get, and you don't even have to be playing red black. You can be playing a black deck that's doing other things, or a red deck that's doing other things that happens to have the cards that allow you to cheat things into play for this to work. It's also great as fusion material. This is one of the
Yeah.
dragons that can be used to fusion summon Dragoon as well. That's one of the things I did in my deck, is I have this as one of my materials that could actually hard summon a Dragoon from my side rather than having to cheat it out. It's good to have stuff like that. So it fills a very interesting niche. But on the other hand, this you just should never pick this if your plan is to cast it. That's just a bad plan. Therefore, it makes me want to give. I'm going to give this a D. I know I've just talked it up because I like it. It's a D because it's you don't early pick it. You don't pick it as like your main, like, here's how I'm going to kill my opponents, but it fills out slots that a couple of the decks want, and it's good at filling in those slots. So that's what I like it for. But yeah, I'd give
I
it a
think
D.
it's a C, but because I disagree. I think this thing can absolutely kill your opponent. Like this is a small little win condition. Like I have to imagine this, right? You have like butterfly, dagger, Alma or something, and any changeling or dragon, and you just put this in, get the dagger back, stuff like that. Imagine
Yeah,
that's fun.
yeah, I'm
Because
sure
you don't
that's
even
fun.
need to worry about much of the color because you can just like if you have enough creature types and some equipments, you can even like forego needing the color cost, right?
Yeah, if you're gonna cheat
For
it
me,
into
it's a C.
play, it's just asking for some specific stuff to be able to cheat it into play that way, and you're never just hard casting this. I mean, you are, but pretty much never. It's super rare. If you are, the game has grinded to that point, and a lot of other stuff had to have happened for that to happen. That can't be your game plan. If we make it work
Yeah,
with equipment, it does go up quite a bit in value because then like you said, you just any dragon plus any of your equipment, and all the mana rocks are equipment in this set. So it does have that, right? It can
yeah.
be that. I don't know. I'll go C minus. How about that? I'll go C minus. I'm picking other cards
All right.
above this a lot of the time. It just fills a nice niche. All right. Oh, this is a card I wanted to update.
All
I
right.
think I think it's got some incorrect stuff on it, so I'm writing this one down as well. Sorry. Red Eyes Wyvern. Okay, so this is 4-star. Red Eyes Wyvern is a 4-star Wind Dragon effect monster with 1800 attack and 1600 defense, and it says during your end phase, if you did not normal summon or set a monster this turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one Red Eyes monster from your graveyard, except Red Eyes Black Dragon Chick. Thoughts?
Yeah, the except Red Eyes Black Chick is because the Japanese name doesn't have red eyes in it, I think.
That's funny.
So yeah. Um, this was one of the first red eye support cards. I think this came with like the early GX stuff when Night Shroud was also playing red eyes as a villain. And for a long time it wasn't played, but then I think in the modern Red Eyes decks, this kind of found some use because there were some cards that stopped you from normal summoning. So this became decent later down the line, but it was just a decent little guy back in the day. The
Nice.
Magic version is a lot more scary to me.
Sure. All right, so in Magic, it's 2 and 2 red black hybrids for a creature dragon, 4/4 flying. So 4 mana, 4/4 flying dragon, that's fine. In a typical limited set in Magic, that would be really strong, but that's not the case here. It's just a fine, decent body. Not bad, though. Its other ability, though, is 5 black red, exile this card from your graveyard, put another target dragon card from your graveyard onto the battlefield. So, it kind of works in the cheats deck, but it's not really cheating. It's reanimating, but it's 7 mana. So you're not getting this ability like early in the game. This is kind of the value end of that. Because that deck will be discarding its own cards, it will be milling sometimes, and then it will be trying to cheat things into play from the hand or graveyard. And so this is a nice buyout that if you put this into your graveyard, it can reanimate a different, bigger, stronger dragon later on in the game if you get there. But it is 7 mana. That's a lot of mana. So it's sort of, again, a role player. It fills in good slots. It is a good rate. A 4 mana 4/4 flying is totally fine. Plenty of games that you play this, it'll be very valuable to have something like that. And then in the late game, you cash it in for another dragon from your graveyard. It's got good stuff going on, don't get me wrong. But this is not what I would consider cheating anything. It just fits okay into that deck. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
I think this looks a bit nerfed from what I remember.
That's what I was saying too. I thought
think
this number was wrong. This doesn't look right to me. It should have been 5 mana, not 7. I don't know why it's 7.
Yeah, and I don't think it's wrong necessarily, just that I remember this being very, very strong with 5 mana. I think that might have been why I've changed it. I can't remember though. You know?
Honestly, I
Um,
would like it to be 5 mana. That's kind of what I was. That's why I was like, I don't know why it's 7 mana. This is kind of weird.
but like
It's
having the reanimate from the graveyard is just the crazy part, you know? You have
yeah,
like
but
the body and then it dies and then you have like the next turn you
yeah,
reanimate like a bigger guy with that. That was the scary thing, I think.
yeah,
And then you also have it like milled and then, you don't even need the card in your hand or anything. You mill it and then you just banish it.
yeah.
I think I think there was a reason that we made it 7 mana. I remember
That
it
might be
being
true.
very, very scary
But
whenever it was used.
what I will say is,
Yeah.
I think still 5 mana to reanimate something is not like you didn't get a steal on that. That's not cheating, really. I mean,
Mm.
it is good. 5 mana is way better than 7 mana. You are, especially because you can get mana
No,
advantage on
but
that by bringing back.
imagine that though on a body, on a 4/4 flying body
Yeah,
that dies and then
yeah,
reanimates something. That's another
yeah,
story, right? Than a
hmm
sorcery that's like 5 mana reanimate something.
hmm
um,
yeah,
I think that's the difference here. And then also like milling it and being able to do it from your
yeah.
graveyard whenever, Instant speed
Absolutely,
too. Instant
absolutely,
speed, by the way.
absolutely. No, I agree. 100%
Yeah.
agree. I
So
think though, what I want to say is, I think at this rate, it's not great. Like this, well, 5 mana is powerful and good, and you're like, wow, I like this card. I really want it for my Dragons deck. This one, you're like, it's fine. It's just 7 mana is such a huge difference.
yeah.
The game state at which that comes into play is such a different one than one that allows you to go block on turn 5 to trade with their scary thing, block on turn 4 to trade with their scary thing, and then turn 5 reanimate my big scary dragon. Like these are very different game
Yeah.
states that are happening, and I wonder, because I haven't seen pretty much anyone playing the red black dragon cheats deck like at all. And again, I think just some people just aren't building
Hmm.
it. I think that deck doesn't have enough good reanimation cards, actually. I think its reanimation cards are too weak. I think that's the issue. That's why people don't play it. Because if you don't get Monster Reborn for white, or you don't get Call to the Grave or of the Grave or whatever it is, the one that reanimates, if you don't get one of those reanimation spells, you're kind of hard up for ways to reanimate on efficiently. Most of your reanimation spells are expensive after that point, and I don't know that that's what you want to happen. So I've been rethinking the costs on the red-black reanimation cards because I think that they don't keep up power level with a lot of the other things in the set for their power levels. How strong some of the other shit we're doing is. Turn 3, Ryza, put your land on top of your library, right? Like, we're talking about some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And then red-black is over here, like, 7 mana reanimate. I mean, it's from your graveyard. That's very powerful that it's from your graveyard, but, like, you know, do you see where my thought process is?
I see what you mean. Yeah. You could maybe check like the changelog whenever we change that thing, or what happened to it, because I'm wondering that too.
I'm wondering
what happened to it, but
because it sounds like it was powerful, but what I'm wondering is I think that it was powerful and we hadn't played enough to realize how powerful the rest of the set really was. So we hadn't run into, like, everyone had been, at that time everyone was talking about how good Blue Black Wizards was, and a lot of people hadn't, some of the decks were not as good as that one, and a lot of people hadn't run into some of the shit that I've seen since then. I've seen some crazy combos, some great stuff. People were not cheating with the blue-red stuff yet either. I hadn't seen almost anyone do it at that time, and since then I've seen it a lot, and blue-red fusion cheats is really good now when you use it right. So, like, I wonder if red-black should be allowed to catch back up, because at this point, if I'm trying to figure out, when I'm drafting, if I'm trying to do combo, like my deck wants to be a combo cheat archetype, I would much rather be using blue-red than red-black to be trying to do something like that, because I think I'll get better mileage out of the blue-red cards and quicker kills and quicker scary shit. And the black-red, I feel like it wants me to do a lot of work. I gotta discard or mill, and then I also gotta pay 5 to 7 mana for my reanimation. I don't know. That's not gonna keep up with the blue-red deck. That's not gonna do that. And blue-black's removal is so efficient. Like, go ahead, what's up?
Yeah. No, I think it's mainly it was the play this on turn 4, reanimate on turn 5 that made it so scary. If there was any way to, like, change that, there's, like, also the option of making it generally cheaper, making the stats a bit lower, and then still keeping it like 5 mana graveyard reanimate, you know? Have it be a 3/3 flyer for 3. And then, or a 4/3 for 3, something like that, you know.
Maybe, but like, I'll
because
consider
then it jumps in the curve. It jumps in the curve is the thing.
Sure, I'll consider it,
like,
but
if it's 4 mana, then 5 mana.
What's wrong with that?
The problem is then that you have like the 4/4 flyer is already a threat, and then you deal with it. And then when you deal with it, it comes back with a much stronger guy the next turn. So it becomes very hard to want to kill this thing, but also you have to deal with it while it hits you in. That's the scary part about it, you know? It was very frustrating to kill the wyvern. That was the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I might cut out some of this discussion here. Because I don't want to get bogged down with changes in the review. But I agree. I think maybe making it 3 mana 3/3 or something like that. I mean, a 3 mana 3/3 flyer is still pretty good, but in this set it dies to more removal and more things. So, that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's good that it dies, right? That's good.
No, no. I meant that in a good thing. I meant that's a good thing. Sorry, I meant that as a good thing. Yeah, I want it to be more powerful, though. I think that needs to happen for this archetype to be more playable. You know. This is one of a couple of reanimation spells you have that you can play in this deck. It should be pretty good. I think I want to reflect more towards the Unburial Rites concept is like where I'm thinking about this card. So I guess the front half can be weaker just to kind of keep that more fair. I don't know. Well, I'll keep looking at it. Let's get back to talk about it, though. Overall, though, a 4/4 flying for 4 that has that extra graveyard value, and as you were saying, Aaron, that means if they kill it, you get something out of it that's pretty valuable. Even with that costing 7 mana, that's not a bad card, by the way. So let's say, as it currently is, I would give it a C, because I do think a 4-mana 4/4 flying is pretty decent. Again, in this format, that it's only decent when your opponent's not ahead and not doing bigger things. But if you and your opponent are both at a stage in the game where you're trying to set things up, a 4-mana 4/4 flying puts pressure, right? And that's good. That's good. So as it currently stands, I would put it at a C.
I would also put it as a C.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being able to like play it on turn 4 and then 3 turns later reanimate something after they had to use a removal spell on it or after you traded with it is good value. Good
Yeah.
value.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next card. Oh, and just mentioning, in case I cut out a lot of it, we're likely changing this, but we're trying to figure out what would feel the best because I do want its reanimation ability to be more relevant and better earlier on, but don't want it to be so scary as a threat and then also have this big reanimation afterward. We'll figure it out. All right, next card. Red Eyes Zombie Dragon, which is a 7-star dark zombie effect monster with 2400 attack and 2000 defense. It says you can tribute summon this card in attack position by tributing one zombie monster. So instead of needing 2 tributes, you can just use 1 zombie. When this card destroys a zombie monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that zombie monster. Tell me about it.
Yeah, this is the face of the first zombie structure deck. No, I don't think that's quite true. One of the first zombie structure decks. This one is probably the one. I think this one included Zombie World. This started the whole like zombie world lore thing.
Yeah.
Um, I found it very interesting that they made like red eyes into a zombie. It has no like relation to the anime
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. Like Joey didn't use this, and neither did Night Shroud. But it's just a very cool concept, you know. You kill a zombie, like when Zombie World is on the field, you destroy something and then you resummon it to your field. I don't think this guy was played as much. I could be wrong on that. But he's certainly iconic, and he started a very, very known variant of zombie deck, and a lot of archetypes that surrounded this in the future were very popular, and zombies are beloved to this day. You know.
That's awesome. Let's look at the magic version, which is 5 and 2 black red hybrids for a creature, dragon, zombie. It is a 5/4 with flying and death touch. And this is a typo. It has I don't know why red black has all the silly stuff in it. It has emerge from a dragon or a zombie. So you're supposed to be able to emerge from both types. It currently says only zombie, and that's because that reflects the original card where you could, get it for free. But I had expanded it maybe just in my head and I never got it onto the actual piece of paper, but the idea was that this could fit into either of those archetypes. So let's read what else it does so you can see what I mean by that. It also says that whenever this creature attacks, return target zombie or dragon card from your graveyard to your hand. So the idea is that this is a bridge between the dragons and the zombies archetype. You can play it in either deck, and it's good in both of them. Its emerge cost is supposed to come from dragons or zombies, and it is 2 less to start off with than its main cost, rather than only 1 less like most emerges are, because specifically it has to emerge from a dragon or a zombie. It works nicely with both archetypes because zombies want to self-mill, so they mill their own deck and then put creatures from its graveyard into play. And dragons want to discard from your hand to get dragons into your yard that you want to reanimate. So it's good in both those scenarios because you're putting those cards in your graveyard, and then this can attack and bring them back to your hand over and over again. It's a great value engine. It's a good threat. It's a very, very cool card. I like it quite a lot, but what are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, the flying death touch too is just an amazing thing because it means that it will always trade, and when you attack with it and you get the trigger and you get something back, you will always like there's never a bad trade for you. You always like attacking in with this, and it just draws you a card whenever you attack. It's really nice. I enjoy this, and yeah, I love that it's like usable for both zombie and the dragon deck. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really like this hybrid design for that. Um, and for the versatility and just as a body itself, like even if you only get one creature back and you sit on it to trade with something bigger or something. Um, I really like this. I think this is like a C plus
Yeah.
for me, up to
And
a
you
B
can
minus, but a C plus, honestly.
I'm gonna give it a C plus as well. You gotta pay the mana, but it's one of those nice emerge cards you should be looking out for. We're gonna talk more about these in monocolor, but there are nice efficient emerge creatures that you need to be on the lookout for to allow you to apply early game pressure. These are not the same thing as the cheating out a Dragoon style cards. These are not the same thing as playing something massive way earlier than you should be able to. But what these are high pressure, high power creatures that you can play a couple of turns ahead of time using their emerge cost. This is Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Red Eyes Zombie Dragon here, and a couple of other like emerge style cards that if you play them just a little bit earlier in the game, you with their emerge costs, you can start putting on pressure as you and your opponent are still trying to build up to your bigger plays or your bigger plans in your deck. And I think that this is just a fantastic one of those, right? You can always attack and get back the thing you sacrificed to emerge from it as well. Great card. Every time I've seen it, it's played very well as well. So I also say C plus for Red Eyes Zombie Dragon. Alrighty. Next card, Red Eyes Black Dragon. So the OG 7-star Dark Dragon normal monster with 2,400 attack and 2,000 defense. And you know what? He is a ferocious dragon with a deadly attack. Tell me about it, Aaron.
You can say that again, Johnny. Um, no, if this guy, of course, he's iconic. But I will say for the longest time, this guy was not playable at all. Same with Dark Magician. I mean, like Dark Magician was iconic, and for the longest time did not have a deck. Um, this was also true for Red Eyes Black Dragon. Of course, at some point they needed to make Red Eyes into a deck and into an archetype, but that was very late, surprisingly. Like this stuff only really became an archetype like I wouldn't even say like during like okay, you saw the first Red Eyes support cards during the GX era, but it only really became a deck at like um the end of Zexal, you know?
Yeah.
Like this is it's surprising how long it took this deck to be an actual deck because like it was such an iconic monster and it took them until like 2014 or something to really make some
Wow.
archetype support cards for this. Yeah.
That's
Um,
crazy.
and, and before that it was like one or two cards, but never like no one ever played Red Eyes Black Dragon, of course, as a result of this. But yeah,
Yeah.
now it's a deck.
All right. Let's see the magic version, which is 5 black red for a 6/5 creature dragon that has emerge for 5 in a black red hybrid. Notice that it's hybrid, so it lets you play it in different kinds of decks. It has flying and trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. So similar to Blue Eyes White Dragon, it's simple. We didn't overdo it on all of its mechanics and text on the card, but we did add some stuff to allow its power level to kind of try and keep up with what the rest of the set is able to do. Big thing about this card and Blue Eyes White Dragon is that her emerge costs are hybrid, meaning you do not have to play a black red deck to play this. You can play it in a black deck or a red deck and still be able to emerge it earlier in the game, which is typically what you want to do anyway, right? You're not really trying to cast this for 7 mana most of the time. It's a decent threat, puts on good pressure, attacks their hand a little bit. Not something that's crazy over and away going to win the game a lot of the time, but again, just like the last card we were talking about, this is something that you want to play to provide early pressure on your opponent, force them to start to take action so they can't focus on setting up their game plan. I would say you should value cards like this pretty highly, actually. Most decks are going to, as long as they have the creatures to sacrifice that are, cheaper and make things easier, most decks are going to want to have a couple of these to allow them those kinds of plays earlier in the game. It's very important. Every deck I've ever built that didn't have this lost to this kind of thing a lot of the time. So you need to be able to keep up with your opponents by doing this kind of thing. I think my grade on this would definitely be just like a C. It's a C, but you gotta get these. There's a lot of them in the set, but you should definitely be picking some of these. What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, you said you didn't overdo it with the keywords. Originally, this thing had flying, trample, and death
Yes,
and
it did.
we moved some of that because especially like Flying Trample and Death Touch together on an ability that deals like that makes you discard on dealing combat damage was
Yeah.
disgustingly filthy. Because like it doesn't matter how much you put in front of it, it will always trample over because of the Death Touch, right? Death Touch plus
Mm-hmm.
trample, yeah. So you would always discard a card and lose your creature. So um, luckily, some of us convinced Johnny to change this at some
Mm-hmm.
point. Um, we did give the trample and death touch thing, flying trample death touch thing to another red eyes creature, which deserved it more in our opinion. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like good decision after all. Because
Yeah.
like yeah, another thing I'd like to note, I find it very cool that this is like the opposite of Blue Eyes because Blue Eyes draws you a card when it enters. This makes the opponent discard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I enjoy that immensely. And because of the flying trample, you always get in with the damage.
Yeah.
Almost always, no matter how. That's also really nice. So it's often a 2-for-1, even without the death touch. So Red Eyes really has a lot of potential. I enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Me
And
too.
yeah, as for a grade, I'd honestly give this like a C plus because this is just a decent creature, right? To get out. Like this is also you can also get this like fairly early, like turn 3 or something. And if you hit them once or twice with it, then they really suffer from it, right? And it's almost always a 2-for-1. Like
Mm-hmm.
it gives you card advantage in a different way. Yeah, I think this is a pretty decent card. Of course, it dies to removal, but it's not the easiest to get rid of with 5 toughness. So yeah,
Yep. I agree. Very
I'd
good.
say a
Very
C
good.
plus.
I'm gonna keep it at the C because one of the things is emerge creatures like this. There are enough of them. You just need to make sure you're picking them. And this one is good. It's not like amazingly better than all of the other ones, but it is good. It's very good. So or maybe C plus works too, but you should definitely be trying to pick this cards like this here and there. All right. Next card we've got is Burst Breath, which is a trap card that says tribute one dragon type monster, destroy all face up monsters on the field whose defense is less than or equal to the attack of the tributed monster on field. Go ahead.
Um, I don't remember this card actually like as I don't think there were like really that many dragon decks around, back in the day. Like
Mm-hmm.
as silly as that sounds, like I don't think there was like a meta deck that was like, oh my God, I'm playing dragons.
Yeah.
And so Burst Breath wasn't really that played, but like the card itself is really good, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you were playing some, I think, hmm, I don't think it was played in like Dragon Rulers. There was like 2013, there was like the Dragon Rulers, which were absolutely crazy and did all kinds of stuff. I don't think it was played in that because like by that point, you were doing completely different things. But if I had to think of a deck where this would have been nice, it would have been like the Dragon Rulers. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
back in the day when this was around, I don't think there was like dragon decks that really wanted to take advantage of it. But
Fair enough.
the thing I like about it though, I think we used this to replace some other card in the set that wasn't really feeling right, and you came up with a very cool idea to translate this into a magic card. So I'm very happy it turned out that way.
Absolutely. Red Black actually had some pretty boring and heinous like multicolor cards before we really started cooking. And so a lot of people were helping me find cards that could be interesting in the black red cheats dragon archetype to replace those nonsense cards that weren't really all that cool. And so that's how we got here with Burst Breath, which is X black red red for an instant that has Emerge from Dragon for X red black. That is right. Emerge on an instant instead of just a creature. This is to reflect that sort of tribute that you have to do for the trap card. I also love it. I think this is a really fun and unique way to do things. It says Burst Breath deals X damage to target player and each creature they control, which reflects the way that the Burst Breath works actually in Yu-Gi-Oh! The idea in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that the dragon that you sacrifice is dealing damage equal to its attack to those defense position monsters. Sorry, equal to its attack to those monsters, right? But in Yu-Gi-Oh, that sort of thing doesn't work mechanically. You don't deal damage directly to monsters. So they worded it the way they did. But when you translate it to Magic, it just makes straight sense to just say, yeah, you're dealing that damage to the creatures. But what I wanted to do is make it more interesting than just sacrifice a dragon, deal damage equal to its power to something. I'm just not interested in that. I wanted something that felt more fluid, more flexible. And so you have this X spell that you don't actually have to sacrifice a dragon to use. It's just way more expensive when you don't. Additionally, X spell, or like X emerge, is a fantastic experience to play with. If you don't already notice, there's a couple of amazing things going on with this card. It's super strong. I made like a short about it as well on the YouTube channel. It is an instant, which means you can sacrifice for emerge at an instant speed, which means if your opponent targets a removal spell at your dragon, you can sacrifice it to burst breath in response, because you were going to lose the creature anyway. The next thing is when you have emerge with X, it doesn't matter the size of your creature, you're getting full value for that X. If you sacrifice a 5-drop, X is 5. If you sacrifice a 10-drop, X is 10. And you deal 10 damage to them and each of their creatures. I did add that the damage hits their face as well, because I think that makes this more of a power card than the original version. It allows you to use it as a way to kill your opponent even when they don't have creatures in play with your attack with my dragon, sacrifice my dragon to the emerge, which I think is where you play this a lot. Particularly if you are cheating your dragon into play and that dragon is going to die at the end of the turn anyway. There's a couple of cards that do this. You have a card that cheats your dragon into play. That dragon's going to die at the end of the turn. Well, I'm just going to sacrifice it to burn breath then. And then I could deal a bunch of damage to my opponent. Or let's say I'm playing the blue-red fusion deck, and I have a couple of fusion dragons that I get with my fusion cheats cards, because a lot of those fusion cheats cards sacrifice the creature at the end of the turn, so I get my creature into play and then sacrifice it to burn breath to deal a shit ton of damage to them and all their creatures. Like, there's so many cool things to do with this card. It is awesome. It is fun. I'm a huge fan. I know I've been yapping about this card, but Aaron, take it away. What do you got to say?
Yeah. No, I think like this card is scary. If I've never seen it played so far, but I just have to imagine like someone sacrificing any bigger dragon and dealing like 7 to your face. Yeah, seems really, really scary. And deservedly, like for me, this is whew, yeah. I'm glad we had this, because there's like we also have, of course, another iconic burn card in red and black. But this one feels right at home here, and I would say this is a B, honestly, because like this can honestly like kill someone just outright.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I would give it a B, and you got to think about it this way. Here is one way you play this card as your like game plan, right? You do your cheat stuff, you have a crazy big dragon, you hit him for 7, and then you emerge, sacrifice that creature, hit him for another 7 or 8 or whatever, right? That's a huge amount of damage that might just kill them right there. That's one way that you're playing this card. However, there's also the fact that it hits all their creatures, so it catches you back up on board if you need to do it that way. And it may seem like a lot of mana, right, to pay X black red for this ability, but when you want this effect, if you pay like 6 mana to deal 3 damage to them and all their creatures because you don't have anything else, you can reset boards that way, or get rid of a bunch of small creatures, or save your life. That might be a lot of mana, but it's so worth it. Like, you would pay that much mana for that effect a lot of the time. So even without emerging from a dragon, you're paying for an ability that you want to have. It's very powerful to have. Sometimes in Magic, there are cards that, yes, you will not be able to cast them for low amounts of mana to get their effect, but it's okay because their ability is so good by the time that you're going to cast them that you're 100% okay with this. Also imagine an aggressive scenario. You're still playing red-black, but maybe you're playing an aggressive red-black with the cheaper dragons and the cheaper attacking cards from red. And then you hit turn 6 after you've been attacking them for a while. They're at 10, and you go, okay, I'm going to burst breath, kill all of your defense position monsters, hit you for 3, and attack for lethal. Like, this is also good in that scenario, not just in the dragon cheats or comboing with all that scenario. So there's a lot going on. Big fan of this card. I'd give it a B. Yeah, give it a B. It's awesome.
Oh, last fun fact. I think the card that's on the artwork is called Lesser Fiend Dragon.
Oh, nice.
I don't think this is in the set, but
no, Lesser Fiend
I think
Dragon's
Mater
not in the
has
set.
it in the set. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. All right, here we are. Hey, look who it is. It's
Oh
Caius,
yeah.
the Shadow Monarch. It is a 6-star Dark Fiend effect monster with 2400 attack and 1000 defense, and it says if this card is tribute summoned, target one card on the field, banish that target, and if you do, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent if it is a dark monster. Tell me about it.
Yeah, this card basically yeah, defined an era. Because like this is undisputably the best monarch. It banishes any card on enter. Um, it burns your opponent for dark, which is the most popular attribute of card, you know. It doesn't just restrict itself to monsters. It can also hit back row or other things. And yeah, this thing like it's dark, so you would use it for chaos things.
Yeah,
Um whenever anyone thinks of a monarch that was used, this was the go-to. This was the guy, the man. Um I think he was limited at some points. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, he was a menace, and when people think of monarchs, they think of this man. So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
there you go.
Let's talk about the magic version, which is 4 black red for a 5/4 legendary creature Monarch Demon. It has emerge for 3 black red. It has menace, and when it enters, if you cast it, exile target creature. Its controller loses 3 life. So I've simplified it a little bit. Caius can't hit anything he wants. So that is a slight change to him, and that's part of him being black red. But I did want to include the burn part of him, even though that burn part would only come up, about some percentage of the time. Like it would come up, but not all the time. I wanted to incorporate it in what makes the magic version different from some of the other monarchs that we have in the set, right? A lot of the monarchs are some form of removal, and that's cool. But I wanted to make him have a layer to him that made him feel like he's doing his own thing. So I did make sure he could only exile a creature. I didn't want the disparity in power between the monarchs to be as big in this set as it is in real life. So I wanted it to feel like they fit in a similar area. But this card is still crazy. Exile target creature, they lose 3 is so good. That's such a crazy swing to have on a 5/4 menace. This card's amazing. I don't need to say a ton more. It's like a B, B plus maybe, just because Exile is also really strong. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, it's a nice evasive creature. It hits in, it just kills something and it domes them for 3 on enter. And yeah, I mean that's for me this is a B minus, I guess. Yeah, but around there
Oh
because
yeah,
it doesn't win you the game by itself, but it's still like very powerful.
it's very good in that
And it
kind of.
exiles. Yeah.
It does, yeah, and that's a huge deal. You can kill a dragoon. Um,
Yeah.
this is one of those situations where it kind of fits in with that other deck I was talking about earlier, where we were talking about burst breath, and like obviously it tells you play dragons. It's really good with dragons, but also just play it in an aggressive deck. And Caius is similar. Like you can play him in a control deck, but he's probably going to be way better in aggressive decks because the loss of 3 life there matters so much more when you are attacking a whole bunch. The menace matters so much more when you're attacking a whole bunch. So don't forget that this can be like an early game card too that just crushes your opponent by getting rid of a blocker and making him lose 3. So yeah, I'm on the B range for this guy.
Also, yeah, also look at this guy pondering his orb, yeah.
He do be pondering
Um
that orb. That's crazy. The first to do it, they
he
say.
he really got this. Yeah, the first to do it.
All right, next up, we've got Kid Moto Dragon, which is a 3-star Earth Dragon effect monster with 100 attack and 200 defense. It says if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Dragon type monster from your hand. You cannot special summon monsters except Dragon type monsters, nor conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect, and you can only do one effect of a Kid Moto card per turn. Tell me about this card.
Fun fact, at least 5 people have died from the pun in its name, you know?
That makes sense.
Um,
Yeah, it's toxic.
yeah. This was one of the cards that was in one of the I think semi-newer dragon structure decks. Primarily know it from the Master Duel starter deck that has this card, so you can summon Blue Eyes from your hand, but it was never good. It was just like, Konami's attempt at helping you cheat out dragons before like Blue Eyes had an actual archetype,
Ah,
or Red Eyes had an actual archetype. Um, but yeah, it's cute. It's cute, and it's perfect if you wanted to have a guy that cheats out dragons. So we included it for the cheat out dragon archetype. You know.
Exactly, and that's why in Magic, Kid Moto Dragon is 1 black red for a 1/4 creature dragon that says if you sacrifice this to cast a dragon spell with Emerge or Fusion, you may pay 0 rather than that spell's mana cost. That dragon enters tapped with a stun counter on it. So what this is doing is you cast this creature, you got him in play, and if you want to say Emerge into Red Eyes Black Dragon, that will cost you 0 mana if you'd like to do that, instead of casting it, instead of it costing the 3 mana from its Emerge after sacrificing Kid Moto Dragon. So that's kind of cool. But the downside that it applies is that dragon will enter tapped with a stun counter, so it's going to be delayed. Similar with Fusion, right? If I want to sacrifice this to Fusion summon a dragon from my side deck, I can pay 0 for its mana cost, but it's going to be delayed a little bit because it'll stay in play, but it'll be stunned. That's kind of what we're doing here. This reflects on the design of the original card where it says you can't attack that turn, right? So I'm trying to be like, oh, what's a way that I can kind of reflect that sort of flavor over into the Magic version? Okay, that dragon's not going to be able to attack next turn, right? That kind of thing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this specifically needs like you to play the red black dragon thing because otherwise you're not gonna get any value out of this. The 1/4 for 3 mana is not very good for stats and it doesn't have any other use. So you need this specifically in that deck, and in that deck it basically allows you to cheat on mana a little bit, which is nice, but it's also very slow, you know? You play it, you summon your red eyes on turn 3. The next turn it doesn't untap. The turn after that it untaps. So it basically has like an extra turn of summoning sickness, and it can't block. So it's I'd say it's mediocre, but it's nice because like it can help you like if you really want to cheat out like an 8 mana dude on turn 3, you can do that.
Yeah.
That is the nice part, you know? But yeah, you really need that black red commitment and stuff that goes with it, the big dragons. I'd say this is like a C- for me, honestly.
I'm going to give it a D, but as I qualify with all Ds that I give, this set, each card has a place where it's supposed to go, and this does belong in that Dragon Cheats deck. It's pretty good at that. It's an okay blocker. 3 mana for a 1/4 sucks, but at least it can block in the meantime. But it does put you behind on your defenses once you do its ability. And something I want to make clear is you can do its ability the turn you play Kid Mono Dragon, right? I pay 3 mana for Kid Mono Dragon and immediately sacrifice it because I don't need more mana, right? If I want to emerge my powerful. Yeah, I can put my Red Eyes Black Dragon into play on turn 3. It won't attack till turn 5, but I can do it right now as if that's what I want to do. Same thing with my fusions. I can discard the other material from my hand, sacrifice this guy from play, immediately fusion summon that scary thing from my side deck. But it delays it, right? So this is not as good as some of the more quick and more powerful attacks, but it does set up a future threat. So it's one of those situations where you really don't want to have this be your main plan. You play it in addition to your other plans as something that you can say, okay, here I'm going to threaten you with this, and in the meantime, while you're trying to figure out how to answer the thing I got with Kid Moto Dragon, I'm going to set up another powerful play that I can follow it up with. That's usually what you're going to try and do with Kid Moto Dragon. So I'm going to give it a D, because I don't think you pick it early like you would some of the other cards that cheat stuff out. You pick it when you've already when you see that, oh, you might be in the cheats deck. You're like, oh, I might be in the red-black cheats deck. Kid Moto Dragon, okay, yeah, let's see if we can make this guy work. He'll kind of fit in a position, but he's not the best at it, so give him a D. All right. Next up, we've got a great card to be getting with it. Let me actually talk about Kid Moto Dragon one more second. If the dragon you get has an enters the battlefield effect, this card is a lot better. You want to get something that can immediately impact the board. So with Kid Moto Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon's fine, but you'd much rather have something that enters the battlefield and does something immediately. Like Meteor Black Dragon, or as we saw earlier, you can... Dude, I got more to say, actually. Kid Moto Dragon's a little bit more interesting than I was first saying. Okay, this is similar to, like, polymerization in that because it sets its cost to 0, you don't care about color requirements. So, you could use Kid Moto Dragon and 2 other dragons to get your Blue Eyes Ultimate out. Draw 3 cards, and then in 2 turns, Blue Eyes Ultimate swings for 12. That's pretty good. So just keep that in mind. Kid Moto Dragon's pretty good with Blue Eyes Ultimate. You still, just like polymerization, you still need the materials for it, but it will fix the color for you and let you do it on turn 3. So let's talk about another card that's pretty good to get that way. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, one thing. I think it is pretty cool that we made it so the color requirements for some things don't matter as much, because that's very Yu-Gi-Oh, you know?
Very Yu-Gi-Oh.
You can just mix and match some of the things, and that's precisely like the spirit of it, where you're not locked into this specific thing that you're doing, but you can, like, branch out a little bit. And I think for that, polymerization and Kid Moto Dragon hit the nail on the head for that, you know?
I think the whole set really, like, leans into doing Yu-Gi-Oh shit, but in Magic. I like, that's why cards like this are here. That's why there's so many of them too. There's like 5 fusion cheats cards in blue red, because we're leaning into what makes it feel like Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like playing Yu-Gi-Oh with Magic's mechanics, and I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about another card that you would get with Kid Moto Dragon this way, Meteor Black Dragon. Now, in Yu-Gi-Oh, Meteor Black Dragon is an 8-star Fire Dragon fusion monster with 3,500 attack, 2,000 defense, and its fusion materials are Red Eyes Black Dragon and Meteor Dragon. Tell me about it.
This card never saw any play, but
Of course.
it got a retrain later. I mean, it did get like like most of the Red Eyes fusion monsters, they got like really good retrains later down the line. And I have to say, like, the stats on this thing, they're impressive for a fusion monster with 2 materials, you know. Still never saw play, but it's really cool what you can, like, this is one of those cards that I think is really cool for the fact that, it doesn't have an ability in Yu-Gi-Oh, but then you go to Magic and you're like, oh, I know exactly what kind of ability this should have, and that's what I love about this.
True.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and look at the Magic version then. In Magic, it's 4 black, red for a creature dragon. It's a 6/6. It has fusion for 5 in a black, red hybrid. You need 2 dragons to fusion summon this. It has flying and menace, and then it says, when this creature enters, repeat the following process 3 times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent of their choice or discards a card. So this is what we call a torment. This is from Hour of Devastation, I believe, is when that mechanic came from. It was never named, but people called them the torments because every card that had that ability was one of the torment cards. Had torment in its name. Anyway, so that's what he does. He does that 3 times.
In this case, obviously, it's him summoning meteors.
That's exactly right. He's summoning meteors, and you're choosing what got hit. And so it's very cool. It fits very well. And also, this is something you would Kid Moto Dragon, right? Sacrifice your Kid Moto Dragon, discard another dragon, and then put this guy into play on turn 3. Not bad. It does his effect on turn 3. Your opponent's going to take 9 usually, or they'll discard maybe 1 card, something like that. And that's pretty good, because then later on he's going to start attacking as that 6/6 flying menace that they'll have to deal with. So this is a great card for that. It's also good to polymerization, this one as well. This is one of those, kind of like Blue Eyes Ultimate, that has a great enters the battlefield effect that is good to cheat into play with a lot of cheating effects. So the red-black dragon deck loves this. The blue-red fusion deck loves this. So be on the lookout for when you can play this. And even casting this for 6 mana and 2 dragons, that's pretty good still. I still do that. It's such an impactful card that I still totally have. I mean, 6 mana's later in the game, but I don't mind. I don't mind casting this for 6 mana. So what are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those. This is one of the funniest ETBs probably in the whole set. So if you find any way to trigger it again and again, if you have a guy that can, like, copy it, or if you have a guy that, like, resummons it over and over, even if you never attack with it, this just decimates them. It just sits there and throws meteors at them until they die.
Uh-huh.
It's great. I enjoy that a lot. And yeah, this is one of those fusions that you can potentially, if you really want to, play in the main deck and cheat out, using one of the many ways to do that. Um, or alternatively, just use one of the fusion ways to cheat it out. So it has like both things going for it, right? You can cheat it out with fusions or cheat it out with in the main deck. He really loves not being played the legit way, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
he does.
that's his hallmark, and I love that for him. As for a grade, I would say it is expensive, of course. It is a great payoff, but it's expensive, and you need like dragons. So I'd give it a C. But honestly, like it's a high-end payoff card. But if you manage to use this effect over and over, it just decimates people.
Yeah, I would
And
give it a C plus because I think it's on the higher end of the cards you can cheat into play, right? If we're looking at comparisons to like Black Metal Dragon, which is a card you can cheat into play as well, I think this one's better, right? I know
oh
that
yes,
one's got an
definitely.
attack trigger, but this one's definitely better. So that's why I would probably give this
Yeah,
a C plus. 'Cause it's just a little bit better than you think it is, but it's again you got to put work into it.
yeah, yeah. Maybe honestly C plus. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Alrighty. So the next card we're going to talk about is Red Eyes Darkness Dragon. It is a how many stars is that? 9 stars. It is a nine
It's
star.
8.
Eight? No way. No, it's nine. One, two,
Oh,
three,
you're right.
four,
You're right.
five, six. Yeah, it's 9 stars. Well, it's because the yeah. Anyway, okay. Red Eyes Darkness Dragon is a 9 star dark dragon effect monster with 2,400 attack and 2,000 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and must be special summoned from your hand by attributing one Red Eyes Black Dragon, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 300 attack for each dragon type monster in your graveyard. Tell me about this Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Wow, all right. So this card is interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one is, of course, it was completely unplayable in any competitive sense. Uh, like no one ever played this. But it was one of the first Red Eyes support cards, and it was printed during the GX era. And this was interesting because um, this was used in the anime by a villain. And before then, Red Eyes Black Dragon was Joy Wheeler's card, which was like,
Right.
oh my God, one of the main character monsters. And then you had like a villain in GX, one of the Shadow Riders, use Red Eyes as a deck and use this as his boss monster, which was interesting. One of the main iconic monsters from DM being used as like the bad guy card,
How
which was
dare
really
they?
cool. Yeah, yeah. It was the first wave of Red Eyes support, basically. Before then, Red Eyes didn't really exist, but no one played this stuff. Um, because you had to play Red Eyes and then you had to tribute it to get a guy that just gets bigger. You could just play Blue Eyes at that point.
Yeah.
Even though he can get bigger, but like the fact that you have to have him in hand and have a Red Eyes on fields. He wasn't even played when like all the Red Eyes support stuff came out way later. But yeah, so I think he's interesting for the fact that he's basically a villain monster based on an iconic DM monster used by Joy Wheeler. So
Interesting.
beloved character too.
Absolutely. All right. In Magic, Red Eyes Darkness Dragon is 7 black red for a 6/6 creature dragon. It has Emerge from Dragon for 6 and a black red hybrid. Has flying, and it says when this creature enters, each other creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, and whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So, this one, again, with some of the other emerge types we've seen in the past, it emerges from a specific creature type, so it won't be emerging from just any creature. It has to be a dragon, so it makes it a lot cheaper, though, because the main mana cost being 9 mana, having your emerge cost be 7 is a lot cheaper, especially because if you sacrifice, let's say, a 4-drop, then you're only paying 3 mana for the 6/6 flying that has a board wipe on it. There is a lot of extra abilities added here that I wanted to make it feel like a big deal when you played it. Unlike the Yu-Gi-Oh version where it's just like, I guess it's kind of bigger than Red Eyes Black Dragon. I wanted this one to feel a lot bigger. But I mimicked that, how you have to tribute Red Eyes Black Dragon with the Emerge from Dragon. The rest of the text, though, is mostly a power level and built into, the draft format sort of thing. Whenever another creature dies, it's supposed to trigger off of that -3/-3 you're giving everything else, so we could get a lot bigger. I chose to do that instead of just making it bigger based on the dragons in the graveyard, because I didn't actually want this card to require a bunch of dragons already in the graveyard to get bigger. I thought playing off of this enters effect will make it feel like a much more powerful card. But what are your thoughts, Aaron?
Yes, I think this is a very fitting way to translate it, basically, because flavor-wise, dark flame, darkness breath, or whatever, being a massacre worm is a pretty good
Yeah,
thing, and it triggering off of death is still somewhat accurate to the effects. Everything that dies makes this stronger, which is basically what the original does. I feel like this is much more playable in essence, and it's also much more cheatable. Like, this is one that you love to cheat out. This is one that you love to cheat out over and over. Even if you sacrifice it at the end of turn, it can just be a repeatable board wipe and stuff. So I feel like this is one of the good boss monsters you want to pick up for red black if you're playing that deck. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, the red black cheats deck. This is, like you said, one of the great cards to get back for it. Just because of that board wipe aspect, getting rid of any of your opponent's creatures. If you're playing against, let's say, the red white warriors deck that has a bunch of small creatures, just being able to kill all of them and have a giant creature to kill them on the backswing, just a fantastic card for all of that. Yeah, I got nothing else to say, but I will say I've only played this in one deck before, but it was very powerful when I played it that way. Just the sheer fact that it has a bunch of different ways to make this card easily coming into play multiple times in a game, making all of your opponent's stuff not have a good time. One of the things I would say is remember that you can attack first. So let's say your opponent has a bunch of bigger creatures, bigger than 3/3, right? And you want to kill them. Don't forget, you can attack into those bigger creatures, and if they block with your you attack with your smaller creatures, those creatures have taken damage and will die quicker on that turn from Red Eyes Black Dragon or Red Eyes Darkness Dragon. So if they have a 4/4 and you have a 2/2, you can attack your 2/2 into their 4/4, and either they take 2 damage or they block, and then you play your Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, and it gets -3/-3, their guy dies as well. So just remember that those kinds of plays are very important. You can pair this with any sort of damage or any sort of other things to get rid of those bigger creatures as well. I would give this card I want to say B-, and I say B- because it is a great boss monster that you want to grab. It can catch you up when you're behind, but it has a couple of conditions, right? While it is a flexible cheats card, where you can cheat it in multiple ways, it is still very expensive, right? You have to be able to emerge from a dragon or play one of the red-black cheats cards, whether it's a reanimation spell or a card that puts it into play from your hand directly. If you have those, this is efficient, this is flexible. But if you don't, you're not casting this for 9 mana. That's literally never happening. So when you build your deck, you have to make sure you have at least 2 ways to get this into play, whether that's having a dragon or a couple of dragons that you could sacrifice, or having a cheats card. That's what you have to have. That's why I'm giving it a B-, but, still a great card. Still pick it up fairly early if you think you might be going that direction.
Yeah, no, I agree with B-, because I feel like this can be a win condition, but you of course need either some dragons to merge this from, or some way to cheat this out, because paying 9 mana for it is hard to do in a format like this.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
and the minus is specifically because you don't want this you don't want to pick this as the first pick or whatever. You want to pick this when you have at least some dragons or some cheating cards.
Yeah,
But the nice thing is it can go in any black or red dragon deck. It doesn't even have to be black red. Anything that has dragons, because it has that hybrid cost. So that's nice to consider.
Very true. It is extremely flexible on how you cheat it into play. There is one last thing I want to add in there. Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, as a boss monster, is not going to be very good against other cheating decks, right? If you're playing against another deck that cheats something big into play early or efficiently, this is not going to be able to help you very well. It's just going to be a 6/6 flyer essentially against that. So that's also something to be aware of, that it's much better against the smaller beats decks. But if you can get it down earlier than your opponent, you usually can kill whatever they're trying to emerge from with this card, which is something that it's really good at. Because remember, when we're building our decks, almost every deck is going to want some emerge creatures and some creatures that you can emerge out of. That's almost all decks are going to do that, and this card's also great at killing multiple creatures that they would emerge from. So yeah, B-, great card. Let's look at the next one. Next one is Red Eyes Spirit, which is a trap card that says target one Red Eyes monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Tell me about this card, Aaron.
So this was one of the first newer Red Eye support cards. And this was actually a menace in Duel Links. This was when they first started to print like cards that said target archetype card in your graveyard and special summon it. This was still during a time where like revival effects of the caliber of Monster Reborn and Call of the Haunted were still pretty good. And so like not entirely maybe. I think this came around like at the time where those were starting to fade away. But this is still like super good because you can like with the red eye stuff, you can search it out from your deck, and you can set it. And during the first red eye support wave, it's red kind of crazy that you could just target any. I can just target any big guy and revive him for free. It was that era of cards, you know. When Call of the Haunted was no longer the best thing you could be doing, and it isn't even tied to something like that. So in Duel Links, it was during the first years, it was a bit of a menace because Red Eyes, which like Red Eyes, the Duel Links deck was built on the back of this card because you could just cheat out big ass Red Eyes monsters for free in a game that was still trying to be like the nostalgia game for Yu-Gi-Oh players, you know. So it had that very strong Duel Links presence, and I feel like it kind of also inspired a little bit of the cheats theme for Red Black, if I'm honest, because like that's what that's kind of like what Red Eyes is known for in Duel Links, and it makes sense that it's also the thing that we do here in Magic with it.
I love that. I love that a lot. Okay, let's look at the Magic card. The Magic card Red Eyes Spirit is 3 black red for an instant trap. It says, if a dragon you control died this turn, you may pay black red rather than the spell's mana cost. So you can play it for 3 mana cheaper if a dragon you control died this turn. And it says, put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. So, one of the things about this card is that it's not the most efficient in this format. 5 mana to reanimate something in a normal limited format is pretty good. I mean, it's okay. Like, it really does depend on the format. Sometimes you play that card, sometimes you don't. In regular standard limited. So that main rate is not very good for this card. I will say that right up front. That 5 mana, it's not great. Instant speed is cool, but it puts it on the battlefield tapped, so you're not going to be able to block with it. It's mainly the trap aspect of this, and the way I see this card playing usually is that you late game, if you just have the mana, can reanimate one of your dragons. That's great. But usually it's early game, if you cheat a dragon into play and then it dies, either they kill it or you played the card that puts it into play, gives it haste, and then sacrifices it. You can then use this card to reanimate that dragon that either died from your opponent killing it or the other way. That's what this is. It's kind of a support to that, and thus it's actually not a very high pick when it comes to cheats cards. You still put it in your cheats deck, but you prioritize other versions of cheats probably before you would hit this, particularly because it's so specific to dragons. But what are your thoughts, Aaron?
I think this is the funniest red black Blink spell of all time.
Yeah, it is.
Because like imagine doing this on a black meteor dragon or like the red eyes darkness dragon, you know? They die by some for some reason, like they get removed or whatever, and you pay 2 mana, get them back, get their ETP back, and you know, basically say you didn't remove my creature actually. It's like if you can get one of the big guys back with this, it's fantastic. But I would agree that this requires like this is a late pick. I would say this is like a C. In any red black deck, you want to kind of play this, but it's yeah, you need dragons, you need the red black thing. You can't pick it early because you don't really want to splash for this. Because like if you splash for this in a different deck that doesn't play a lot of dragons, you're not really doing much, right?
Yeah.
So
It's just a little bit too expensive for that kind of thing. 5 mana is a lot. Above a card like, let's say, Fake Your Own Death, which is kind of what a black blink spell kind of is. It does have that flexibility of late game. You can just pay the 5 mana to reanimate anything, and that's nice. But I agree, it's a very late pick. I'd give it a C, maybe even a C minus. If you're already here, if you're already in this deck, it's a good support tool. But this is not your main way that you're reanimating dragons or anything like that. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next one. Not too much to say about that. Pretty simple card. Ring of Destruction. What a classic. What a classic. All right, it is a trap card. It says during your opponent's turn.
Sorry, you're reading the new version, so have fun with that.
Oh shit, my bad. I didn't get the OG version, which is what mine's actually based on. All right, well, I'll read this version, but then you can tell me what the original version was like. During your opponent's turn, target one face-up monster your opponent controls whose attack is less than or equal to their life points. What the fuck? Sorry, I just read that. Destroy that face-up monster, and if you do, take damage equal to its original attack, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the damage you took. You can only activate one Ring of Destruction per turn. This is not what the card did. Go ahead, tell me, Aaron.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so quick, fun little mini game. Tell me if you can spot everything that has changed.
Okay, I got this. I actually am going to try. Okay, it didn't say during your opponent's turn originally. You could activate it on the following cycle if you needed to.
That's one.
The part where it says whose attack is less than or equal to your life points, that was not there before.
Yeah, you missed one already.
No, don't tell me. I don't want to know yet. You tell me afterward. The way that it takes damage, you used to just deal damage to both players at the same time. This one now does it in a certain order where I take it first, then they take it based on what I took. So if I, for example, prevented damage to myself, they would take 0 instead of taking the same amount. That's weird. And then it didn't say you could only activate one per turn either. That was not a thing. You could just activate 3 of them in a turn if you had them. Okay, tell me what I missed.
Yeah. So this also only lets you target your opponent's monsters and not your own monsters.
You could target your own before. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, no. Jesus, they really undid this card.
Yeah, so in essence, they did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 changes to the original effect of this card, which was basically just target a monster on the field, destroy it, both players take damage equal to the attack.
Jeez.
That was the original.
Yeah.
And this card, this was a menace, obviously, back in the day. Got, I think, 15 years later or something, it got errated into this version that no one really likes. It's, of course, completely unplayable. The original was like a massive menace because you could end games. It would also cause draws sometimes when you had like a bad situation and you would blow up a big guy and then cause a draw. That was the reason they didn't like it, and that's the reason they did all of these changes. But the original card has a legacy of just being one of the best target removal burn spells of the first decade of Yu-Gi-Oh, so to speak, maybe. And of course was limited for a long time, I think banned for a long time. And you can see at this version like how much they had to, and they didn't have to, but how much they did to change it up. And
they just didn't want anyone to touch it ever again.
Yeah, and that's a bit sad. But I think what's really cool is that we took the Magic version and basically made it the original because that works in Magic,
So, the Magic version is 1 black red for an instant, destroy target creature, Ring of Destruction deals damage equal to its power to each player. So yes, this can draw the game. It can do that again. But I think it's a really good card. I pick it pretty highly a lot of the time, just because, while yes, if you're behind, taking that damage can be bad, but also, if they were going to attack with that creature and hit you with it anyway, you would have taken that damage anyway. Now you're just sharing that damage with your opponent. It's a big deal. Like, the amount of the things it can do is quite big. You can destroy your own creatures again with it if you need to get that last bit of damage on your opponent. 3 mana to destroy target creature in this format is not the best price, but because it comes with such a huge swing in the dynamic of the match, I think it's still a fantastic card. If your deck got some other burn spells in it too, it can sometimes not even matter if you get lower than your opponent, because it can threaten them so much and it could get rid of their best threat while you still get to keep your stuff in play, that it could literally be destroy your blocker, swing in for lethal. Like, that can happen all the time. So there's a lot of gameplay to this card that's more than just destroy target creature. One of the cards I think about when I look at this card in Magic is a card called Unlicensed Destruction, or Unlicensed Disintegration. Do you know this card?
No, I don't.
Unlicensed Disintegration is 1 black-red, destroy target creature. If you control an artifact, that creature's controller takes 3. That's what that did.
Oh.
And that card saw so much play in Standard, because while 3 mana destroy target creature was not that good of a card, the pressure you put on your opponent by also dealing damage when getting rid of one of their creatures is huge, and this card really shows that. I like to give this card a B, just a flat B, because I think most black-red decks would play this, no matter what they're doing. Aggressive, cheats, black-red-blue control, all of these decks would play this card to great effect. What are your thoughts, though?
For me, it's a B plus, because honestly, like, this is a win condition.
Yeah, true.
I have been uncertain. Like, the original Ring of Destruction obviously was a menace. This one is also a fucking menace. I am unsure how, like, directly it translates with, like, you deal this much power to, like, fling effects. Fling effects exist, of course. But like a removal spell and a fling, but also with the added element of sometimes you can't play this because you are so low on life that you would kill yourself with this.
Right.
Which is, I love this card just as a reimagining. I briefly remember, and I remember the discussion we had about it, if it should be able to draw a game. And you firmly said, yes.
I'm not scared. I'm not a coward.
Yeah. You wanted the original, and I respect you for that.
I think
this is for me. Yeah.
My bad.
Oh, what?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying, I think it's what players would have expected.
Yeah, I mean, if having the original Ring of Destruction in this set does feel appropriate, I can't argue with that. And because of the way that it can just end games, like you can attack with it and then in main phase 2 use this to blow up your last big guy and finish them off. That is very much how it was used in the original game, so I only think it fits. B+.
Awesome. Yeah, actually I agree with you. B+. This card's awesome. I pick it very highly. I pick this card even when I'm not in one of these colors yet at all. I'll say, yeah, maybe I'll splash it.
You can splash it. Yeah. You can splash it. It's a removal spell. It's worth splashing. That is the cool thing about it.
I have splashed this in my blue-black wizards deck multiple times. Absolutely.